have quite possibly the most important video yet for you guys. I think this is going to help every single person out that is trying to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There are tons of settings that the game comes with on by default, and they're just way too uncomfortable to play with, and have borderline ruined the experience for a lot of newcomers. Yes, even back on Remake, there were plenty of people that I heard from who told me straight up they had no idea these settings existed and they stopped playing because of it. And we're going to be breaking it down in this video, so don't go anywhere. Because before that, shoutouts to Atlas for sponsoring this video. Guys, I know we have a lot of RPG and strategy battle enthusiasts here on the channel, so I'm very excited about this one. Unicorn Overlord was created by the same geniuses behind 13 Sentinels, Odin Sphere, and Dragon's Crown. Vanillaware presents the rebirth of the tactical fantasy RPG, and you can create an army of 60 unique characters from humans, elves, massive beasts, as well as angels. There's a lot you could do with that. Not to mention, this game has over 40 to 50 hours of gameplay. The demo lets you also carry over your progress to the full launch of the game. I absolutely love when developers do this. To me, I think it's the best type of demo that will excite fans for sure. And the best part yet, the demo is out right now, guys, and you can play up to 5 hours of the story through the demo. The unique visual style emphasizes the gorgeous 2D graphics, in-depth battle mechanics involving strategic placement of abilities, and of course, immersive music, all of which are more than enough to satisfy every RPG fan. Because I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that what we play these games for? Create unique formations with your team and combinations no one else has even thought of. Unicorn Overlord releases on March 8th and is available to pre-order right now for Nintendo Switch, Xbox X and S, PS5, and PlayStation 4, but digitally only. You guys check out the link in our description and also pinned in the comments so that you can pre-order Unicorn Overlord today. The demo is out right now, guys, so download it and play it today, and consider pre-ordering the game if you like it. All right, let's get you guys cooking with the best possible settings. So we're gonna go down to System, Options, Gameplay is where we're gonna start off first, guys. So shout out to the Grand Blue Fantasy Relink players. This one's gonna help you guys out a lot. We talked about this before, but I feel like the dedicated video for this will make all the difference. Swap guard and command shortcut buttons. By default, this is disabled, so what this basically does is it means right now block is R1 and L1 are our abilities. In Grand Blue, it's the opposite. If you want that to be the same way, you can put it on enabled, and it'll make it so that your block is now L1 and R1 is your ability shortcuts, just like Grand Blue Fantasy. But me, I already got back used to Final Fantasy VII, so there's no way I'm gonna be able to go back, and it's gonna be really painful when I pick back up Grand Blue Fantasy. Combo targeting by default is set to fixed, and please, for the love of God, put this on free. And I'll show you guys why. We're gonna leave it on fixed, and we're gonna go over here and fight an enemy real quick. When this is set to fix, this makes it so that you cannot break your combo strings and hit somebody else. So see, I'm locked onto that enemy to the left. I can't switch to the right enemy. I have to wait till I finish the animation before I could go into another attack, right? So now we're gonna set it to free, and I'm gonna show you guys just how free this is. So now, let me show it with Cloud actually. See, each hit, I can literally turn it around and face it towards whichever enemy it is that I want mid combo without having to break it. It's the best way to play the game in my opinion, because you're going to be able to see if enemies are coming up to attack and hit you, and you could full on interrupt them by hitting them or even getting out of the way. Trust me guys, put it on free, and whatever direction it is that you're pointing your left stick when you're playing as whichever character and you're emitting commands, that's the direction of which they will swing and also target. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, there was a minimap as well for the towns, and there was also a compass, and we have that same exact option of both again. However, by default, the minimap is set on for world navigation. And here's what I think. I don't think it's actually going to be that great, because you can't see, for example, all the way over there in that town. You can tell, like, you know, Chadley's over there. It says so. It says as much on the map at least. But in actuality, if you go back into options and gameplay and change the overworld world navigation map to a tracker, the compass, in my opinion, shows you a little bit more of an accurate representation of like where things are. And I think like as you're roaming around the open world in the full game, this might be more beneficial because you could see more, and you also get more screen real estate too. There's no map on the right side blocking things up. I know there's a lot of people that prefer to have a much cleaner display, and this will definitely do that for you. In addition to that, you can also zoom out the maps a little bit more. That's all preference though. See which ones you guys like. Terrain action guide. For some reason, this is actually off by default, but I actually like this thing on. And what it does is it shows you if you could actually climb over or vault over something as Cloud or any other character. You see the little white line in front of him? It'll show up there if it's something that is vaultable or climbable. And sometimes it won't let you climb it unless you press the button. In this case, it says to press circle to do it. But in addition to that, you don't have to just press circle. You can press R2. You can actually just hold down sprint. If you're holding down R2 to sprint and you're just running, look, it'll just let you climb. It doesn't actually let you see the terrain action thing. It just exists there. If you're like taking your time climbing something and walking without sprinting, it'll show you that, hey, this is climbable. This is climbable. You do that too. But if you're like me and you're just running everywhere, no matter what, you'll be fine. I just like having it on just cause I think a visual guide for it is pretty good. And it also reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 4. And this is a big one. Completed assignment guidance. People are most definitely going to want this set to no. So when this is set to no, it'll make it so that whenever you're doing a hunt challenge and you already completed it, she will not repeat her dialogue again if you're trying to retry it. It's very frustrating that she does that. She's very obnoxious and can talk over a lot of things like the character's dialogue or way louder than the music. Not great, but I'm glad that they included that option. Unfortunately, the first runs, you'll always hear her though. And now for the camera. For me personally, my preference, I keep it maxed out at 3 because I love MMOs and I prefer to see the entire battlefield. So this way I could know if I need to dodge certain enemies or if my teammates are about to get hit by something, I can switch to them real quick. That's my personal preference. In Rebirth, the camera naturally is further away than it was in Remake, and I know a lot of people don't like that. Even at the lowest setting of 1, it's still pretty far away for a lot of people's like taste. If Square Enix, if you're watching this, you could probably make it so that the 3 is actually a 10 and then give people closer options on top of that from 1 to like 10. You know, like I think that I like the 3. I think it's fine with me, especially since we have so many different characters. There's so many more enemies. The zones are bigger. The battlefields are bigger. That's great with me. But I think that for the people that do want it zoomed in a little bit more, that should also be an option. 3 is kind of like wild to just have only 1, 2, or 3 for this type of setting. Camera repositioning I have on because whenever you're walking around, if you move the camera, you're just like using the left stick only, it'll actually put the camera back behind the character. Don't really need to show an example for that, but I will show an example for this one. Attack target correction. With this off, it actually will not move the camera towards the direction of who it is that you're targeting. So we'll choose Barrett, right? Because Barrett's the best to showcase this with. So we'll turn the camera away from enemies and shoot. And you see with it off, I'm not moving the camera at all. Barrett's just shooting at enemies. He's doing his thing. I have to actually turn the camera if I want to see that, or I have to lock on to the enemy if I want to see that. Now with this on, it's actually a great game changer, not just for Barrett, but for all the other characters. So you don't even have to lock on, you just shoot. And look at that, it'll automatically turn the camera towards whoever it is that you're trying to attack, whoever the characters are picking up to attack. There you go, see? It just automatically is moving the camera for us, which is great. Camera pullback, I think, functions when you're walking around a zone and there's a point of interest or something that the game wants the characters to know about. It'll pull the camera back out so you can see the bigger wide range of it. Post-action refocus is pretty good. It's like after you finish climbing something, it'll refocus the camera back in front of you if you were turning it around behind you to look. Responsiveness, I have it set to 4. 4 feels very comfortable for me. 5 is a little bit too fast and feels weird. It's kind of a natural. 4 is a good balance. 3 is a little too slow for me. Maybe if there was a 3.5, I'd be happy with that, but 4 is where it is. Lock on controls. Guys, by default, it's set to right stick for camera controls, and you would think, okay, maybe this will function like Grand Blue Fantasy. No, it doesn't. It's actually worse. The right stick to change your camera lock on is horrible. You can't, first of all, you can't even like move the camera around. If I wanted to turn the camera around for Tifa, it wouldn't work, right? It's just not great. It doesn't feel comfortable because naturally I'm using the right stick to look around and see what are enemies doing, what can I do differently, what do I need to avoid. Remake, there actually was only this option, menu control, so this way you had to use the left and right D-pad to switch your targets. This one, however, is the one you want to use. Menu controls and auto camera. This is very godlike. It will actually automatically move the camera around for you on whoever it is you're targeting. You cannot enjoy a lot of things in this game without that, especially aerial combat. If you're in the air and you're trying to fight enemies, I'm gonna show you actually. I'll give you a good example. We'll put it on menu controls and I'll show you guys a big example. And also direction input over switch in order. What this will do is like certain enemies are labeled by the game's like system, A, B, C, D, or whatever enemy. If you do switch in order, it'll switch in order of those enemies, and it doesn't matter which direction you're pressing, because it'll just focus on where the game is registering them as their like character ID. If that makes any sense. Like how in FF14 there are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, J, K, whatever enemies. It'll go in order of A, B, C, D, regardless of the fact if you're trying to switch the closest enemy to you. Direction input's better because if there's an enemy on your right and you press right to switch to them, it'll go right. Sometimes you'll press right and it'll go left. Don't have that on, please. And screen shake, I turn it off because I just don't like the way it looks, and I know that the motion sickness can really affect some people. See if this helps you out. So now let me show you the lock-on controls as we were talking about, right? Let's go up in the air, and I'm over here having to move the camera around if I want to see a different direction, right? Which is fine, right? It's fine, and I know a lot of people will really like that. But let me show you guys. The auto camera is actually pretty good. Wow, those textures had a hard time loading there. Now with auto camera, you don't have to worry about that. Let's say if you dodge around, it'll actually keep focusing the enemy for you. You don't have to worry about dodging and then moving the camera to the right. Oh god, that's uncomfortable. I keep dropping the enemy, but now it'll automatically follow whichever enemy it is. Obviously, you do have to be locked onto them, but hey, I mean, it's a good trade-off, right? To be able to see them. Auto camera is almost 1000% recommended, especially if you're going to be fighting in the air a lot. In other good news, you guys seem to really love the Tifa guide that we put out yesterday. Yes, guys, if you're watching this now, there's a Tifa combat guide. It teaches you every single thing about the character and shows some really awesome stuff. And I also found some even crazier things thanks to my boy Gamebreaker God. He hooked us up with some info after he saw our video, and man, we're gonna have to talk about that. That'll probably get its own dedicated video because it's pretty unique on what you can do with this new application to make her parry slides even faster than they were in Remake, I would even say. And Cloud could do it too. And I asked you guys, who would you like to see their combat broken down of next? And everybody overwhelmingly responded Red 13, which I'm happy for because it's exactly who I wanted to make a video about. He's new. We want to dissect everything with his gameplay and see what Red 13's all about, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you are new. More Final Fantasy VII videos are on the way and you don't want to miss them. My name is BltzZ, and thanks for watching.